Hello and welcome to this year's update of Tides of Revival. So what is Tides of Revival? Well, if you are new to this, what are we making? Yes, we are making a game. This game is what I call a massive immersive sim. You could also call it like a grand RPG maybe. Daggerfall-like is maybe another game, another term for it. A bit longer, it's a first-person single-player fantasy RPG set in a massive, simulated, believable open world. And here are our three pillars. Immersion, you should feel like you are in a world that's, behaves as you would expect it to, and really like brings you in. Freedom, you should feel like you can solve things your own way, you can do things your own way. And change, the things that you do should be able to have a big impact on the world and the characters in it. So here we take a look at the game, what it currently looks like. It's a very early build. We start in a village and we walk out, sped up, and now we are on a hill and we are placing a campfire so that we're resting overnight. And while we're resting, we see that there's like a giant blob walking around, and you can see that it's really, really far away. This is like 2-3 kilometers maybe away. So the distances in this game are very, very big compared to other games. And now, right now, we will journey towards the slime, and it's quite far away, and this looks quite buggy, but that's what we're doing. It's kind of like a fast travel-ish mechanic. Now we're in the forest, and we're kind of actually trying to hunt the slime and kill it, and it's split off into multiple pieces. You can soon see how it does that, and you can shoot a bow at it, and this is basically what the game is at the moment. You're hunting this slime, and then it becomes this epic combat scene where it tries to kill you, and you try to kill it. And there you can see it sort of splitting off into multiple smaller, faster parts, and you need to survive and kill it. Okay, so let's talk about what happened last year in 2025. This was my favorite part. Me and my family went to Valencia, and we met with Giuseppe and Julia, who are my sort of co-partners in this. Giuseppe is like he does most of the rendering side of the game, and I do more of the games play side of the game, and we collaborate on everything. Julia does art for the game, and there's my wife there in the middle. So this is the stuff that we've done on the tech code side of the game. So we have rewritten our renderer quite a bit, at least once, I think, maybe even twice, and now it's a lot more GPU driven, which is nice. There's a day-night cycle with a moon even, and I think the moon casts light, and there's like this night sky that's rotating, and a lot of this stuff to make it look nice. We have improved our memory use strategies by using like arena allocators where it makes sense. We have generated villages and roads. I don't know if you saw that, but well, there aren't exactly roads yet, but there are kind of road markers along where the road is. And so there's 2 villages, and there's a road that goes between them. However, at the start of the game, it doesn't actually go all the way, it just goes a little bit. And then after you kill the slime, there's this simulation where the villages kind of feel safe now that the slime is dead, and they start to build this road, and you can see that kind of light up the terrain at night and things. So it's quite nice. So it's a bit of simulation there. We've improved the AI for the enemy and also its mechanics to make it like trackable at night, and various things to make it be an interesting enemy to play against. We have music in the game, as I mentioned, made by Solveig. No, that's Spoiler. That's gonna be in the next slide. We have music. We did make some VO, and I got a friend who's really talented who made some voiceovers for the game. But it was really good. But I realized that I couldn't really figure out a way for VO to make sense or to make it nice in this release. So rather than like having him add more and more VO and change it up, I decided to just cut VO, and I would like to get it back later on, like for another release, because I think VO makes a lot of sense for this game, but not at the moment, and I'll need to think more about it. And we also had sound effects in the game, which is nice. And like 3D audio support. The terrain got improved quite a bit in various ways. Like we have better normals and like higher detailed terrain, things like that. Less sort of gaps between terrain patches, that kind of thing. 2 main mechanics are now in the game: journeying and resting. That's been really fun to get something unique to our game, and it's been really interesting to try it out. Now I feel like, okay, it's probably not what I want in the game, but it also it's really been helpful to get here so that I can make that analysis and judgment and think about, okay, what I actually want to try out next. And maybe there will be some mix of what we have now and some other mechanics, but yeah, that's been really cool, I think. Lighting and shadows have been, improved in general. We did, and the task queue was a talk I gave on this channel. Talk, maybe overstating it, but there's a video of me talking about how I would like to do multi-threading for tides, and the task queue is kind of like a core fundamental part of that. And now I have like a very, very early proof of concept version of it that I use primarily for the slime, and it allows me to feel out, like, is this actually what I wanted to do? Is it nice to use? Does it feel nice from like a gameplay programmer point of view? And yes, I think it does. I think it is. So I want to, it became clear to me that this is a nice way to do that, to program, to structure some aspects of gameplay code. So I'm gonna expand on it rather than rewrite it or remove it for future iterations, which is nice because that means that I made a good choice, I guess. That was on the tech side, so this is more like on the design content side. Me and Giuseppe have been talking a lot about like what we want to do about art style and rendering style and content style and all of these kinds of things. And I wouldn't say that they have like materialized in the game yet, but it's been important discussions to have. We've looked at a lot of like other games and other types of game art to see what we like and what we don't like and what's feasible and these sort of things, which has been really fun and really valuable. And we've been making some art. Julie has been making most of the art. I've been making a little bit of art, and then she has been improving it or making it good. And Giuseppe has been helping her on the kind of technical side, and Alexander has been kind of like an art controller, if that's the word. He's really good at like seeing a piece of art and being like, well, actually this maybe doesn't make perfect sense from like the world lore point of view or like the medieval history point of view and that kind of thing, and that's super valuable. I've been doing most of the world design, which is not to say that I think it looks very good, but I've done it more from like a gameplay point of view, and that's been fun. It's maybe not I think for this release, I kind of had to game design the world quite a bit, and like actually, like do specific world on how design on how I want the world to play out, and that's because it's been this sort of very narrow game that we have been making for this hill, which is the right thing to do, but it's also very quite different from the type of game that Tides is. So in the future, I would like to move away from it and make it more like give more control, I think, to the procedural rules that we have, and add more of those basically, so that we can tweak it from afar rather than being explicit about various things. But that's also has been interesting. On the audio side, I've had another friend who's done some audio work for us, which has been great. And I have also been doing some audio. And as I mentioned, we have music in the game by Solveig, and that's been awesome. It came in quite recently, but it's really it makes the game feel whole it's like a missing piece of the game that's now there. Even this is it's just one track, but that still helps. So yeah, that's really nice. And something that I've been really happy about is that in 2025 it really felt like we were able to finally make a game, like a proper game with like unique game mechanics, and make a blob enemy that's interesting to fight against and things like that, and not just build various tech related things and tools and things, which it's we've been doing that too, of course, but actually making something that is like taking everything and making a whole thing out of it. It's a special feeling, and it's also very useful. So I'm very happy that we've gotten to that stage now. The last thing that I'm going to mention about 2025 is that we continued to make these plans in Discord, and they have been working really well for us. It's just like a simple to do with a few different like components to it that make it very easy to overlook and very easy to like get motivated to work, I think, on this. Yeah, it's been a continued success, so we're going to continue doing this. And then plans for 2026. First of all, we're going to release Hill 3. It's a bit the name is kind of boring, but it's called A Sense of Scale, which is kind of what it's intended to do. It has, it's relatively big. Time passes in a way that isn't just like you get a pretty day-night cycle, but it's actually important to the game that you have these nights, and it plays into mechanics in various ways. If you like try to beat this game, it's still gonna be like you're gonna beat it in less than probably a week of game time, right? So it's not like that long, but it's still, if you imagine other games, generally you won't spend like a week in the game world for one quest, but that's a thing that could happen in Tide Survival. So in that sense, it kind of gives you an idea of, wow, things will actually take time to complete in this game, which is nice. And then after we release it, and we'll see when this happens, but I hope we release it in January, let's say, but no promises. And then we're going to start anew. Also, I hope I get some more sleep this year, because last year I slept a lot with my 1-year-old, now 2-year-old, and he didn't sleep very well, or had as you can imagine, there are a lot of issues with sleeping with a young kid. Now he's older and sleeps better, and I hope in this year he will sleep even better. So yeah, that's something that I'm hoping. And so now we're gonna start on a new hill, hill 4, and what's been good about this hill, like actually completing this hill, is that now we have not just this tech base, but we have a game that uses it, and when you have this whole package, it's much easier to analyze it and make sort of the right calls about, okay, what do we actually need for the future. And so for you know, on and off during the year, I think I've been thinking about like, whoa, if we were to try to rewrite a lot of stuff correctly from the start, what would we do? Also in this year, we have been talking about, well, now we've been using Zig for almost 4 years. How do we feel about it? The discussions that have been between me and Giuseppe is that we have felt that it hasn't been that great for us anymore. I still like Zig better than C++ in a lot of ways, which isn't like a kind of, it's not really hard bar or I don't know, high bar. But like when I started with Zig 6-7 years ago and started with Tides 4 years ago, it really felt like Zig could become a really good game development language if, you know, certain things happened. You know, if the design of Zig went in that direction, but it's gone kind of in another direction, which is, you know, still in some ways quite good for game development, but in some ways it's not very good for game development. And it's quite clear that the developers of Zig, it's not really a design goal for them for Zig to be a good game development language, which is, you know, fine, but that also means that it's not really a good language for us. And Tides for me is like a, you know, I could see myself working on this for like 20 years, and at some point it's like, okay, I have now used Zig as kind of like a trial for 3-4 years. At the end of my trial period, I have decided that actually it would be better to switch to something else. And there are a couple of alternatives to Zig and to C++ that are more suited for game dev, and the one that we have chosen is Jai for various reasons. And so when we decided this, that also kind of made me think a lot more about these sort of topics, and then I started writing this document maybe a couple of months ago, really outlining, because if you're working in a new language, we might as well start from scratch and do it right? So it's like a, you know, stars are aligning on that front. And so I wrote this document, and this is like the table of contents of things that I want to try and get right from the start, because if we have all of this, then it unlocks, you know, future development that is much better, you know. So that basically means that Hill 4 is going to be more of a tech demo than a game, and I know that I've said that I don't want to make tech demos, I want to make games, and that is still true, but there's quite a bit of value in doing all of this and making something that showcases it, and then make a game using it rather than just aiming for the game sort of straight away, because that's just like all of this work plus an equal amount of work. And I think if we can just split that into two, that's quite a lot of value, and quite a lot of, like, motivation wise, it's also very nice to like just do half the work twice than one, you know, one big chunk of work. So that is what we are working on, or going to start working on very soon, which is super exciting. And that is basically it, I think. Here are some links if you want to follow me or us. the Discord is really a mix of development of the game, but it's almost more about it's called the Open World Game Dev Discord, so it's really more about people posting links about open world related topics and talking about them, which is a lot of fun because open world is such a wide concept that it's like a lot of things fall under that umbrella basically. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff I learned there every day, so that's cool. It's a nice little community. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you are following us now. And I'm gonna go to bed soon. Right, bye bye.